mic. Hello everybody, welcome back to Rework It. It's me here, Kladi, with my co-host, the amazing Jesús Ramirez. How's it going, everybody? I can see so many wonderful people in the chat. Jesús, we got the mic, I think, a little bit there.
There we go. Let us know if you can hear us. Let us know if you can hear us.
Microphone obsession. Sam is in the house helping us here at Adobe Live. How's everyone doing? Let us know where are you watching from and what time is it there. Here, we're both in the UK, and here it's 11 p.m. I can see so many wonderful familiar faces. Steve Festus, ciao, how's it going? Nice to see you. RB, what's up? Dorina, nice to see you.
We have Kladi's mom and dad in the chat.
What are you guys doing? Like, I think it's like midnight in Italy. You should go to bed. Ciao mama, ciao papa, buonanotte.
Buonanotte.
As usual, we do a little bit of Italian as well. But let us know where you are watching from. We have this lovely, wonderful international community that we're super happy to be with during our stream. Misty, Megan, fantastic. We are about to start, and this is the last Rework It of the year. Can you believe it? Super crazy. Right, so today we're going to start with Photoshop and with Jesús Ramirez giving some tips. This Photoshop file was sent to us by an anonymous Behance artist. So please, if you're in chat, let us know. The file is called Chaotic. I'm going to jump right away into Jesús' screen so you'll be able to see the artwork and hopefully recognize yourself. Let us know if the owner of this file is here in chat with us. We like to know. Steve is like, tutta la familia. Yes. All family
the whole
here
family.
together.
We need Kladi's cousins and uncles, hopefully, in the chat.
Fantastic. But yeah, let's get started. So before you start this, I'm actually going to give a little bit of a brief description, or maybe you can give us a little bit of description about what Rework It is for those of you that are joining us today for the first time. So
yeah, so if you're just joining us for the first time, Rework It is a show that Kladi and I host bi-weekly. This is the last one of the year, and this show is all about you. You submit your files, Photoshop files, Illustrator files, or InDesign files, and Kladi and I rework them live on the stream and hopefully give you some tips and ideas on how to improve your files. Yeah. Correct.
So let's get started. So this is the file that we're going to be starting with. It's a PSD layered file. And Dark Hours is oh no, last one, glad I could make it. We're so happy that you can make it as well. But yeah, let us know where are you watching from. I'm always super curious. I'm very fond of our international beautiful community here at Adobe Live. I love how everyone is like writing in Italian. RB, you got the right spelling. Correct. Wonderful. But let's get started in Photoshop. Jesús, we're always super curious to have your amazing tips. I call it a walk-in Photoshop encyclopedia here.
So this file is called Chaotic, and it's very interesting because obviously it's a surreal type of composite, but I think it could be greatly improved technically, not so much in terms of how it looks. I think that the file looks good, but there's certain things that you can improve so that you can have more flexibility in terms of how to better change something if you need to. So if you look at the file, and this is the trick that I've been showing all throughout every time I do a Rework It, if you click and drag down, you'll just disable all the eye icons for the layers, so they hide them, and I can just individually bring those layers back. So I have the background layer, which is white. That's cool. Then we have this black layer that has this layer mask, and I'm going to hold Alt on Windows Option on the Mac to enable the layer mask, and as you can see, the layer mask actually contains the content. So I normally wouldn't recommend that because you don't have the flexibility. For example, if you wanted to make any changes to this cloud and move it or make any changes, you will change the mask. So I would recommend keeping your elements separate so that you have the capability of moving them around to different locations. So what I would do in this case is I would just create on top of this background layer, I would just create a rectangle using the rectangle tool. I would change the fill to black just to keep the same design, and I would make exactly the same rectangle on there. And let me just move it down a little bit right about here and press Control T, Command T to transform. And oops, and scale that accordingly, right about there. And I'm using the trackpad, so I'm a little slower today.
We actually have Asus on a Mac. I don't know if you can guys see. I probably can see from the interface, but Asus is actually working on a Mac.
Kladi's Mac right now.
We are switching. We're switching laptops.
We are definitely switching. But the point is that this is just the black square. And what I'm going to do is, I don't have the assets that the artist used to create this cloud and the debris, but I'm just going to fake it. So I'm just going to hold Command on Windows. Command on the Mac, Control on Windows, and load it as a selection. And I'm going to create a new layer and invert the selection as well, just because that selection is selecting the white outside of the mask there, and I don't want that. So Command Shift I to invert the selection, and I'm going to fill with white on this new layer, like so. So Command D to deselect, and now I don't need the black layer that the artist created, because I now have everything on a separate layer. See that? And actually I also have a white outline, and that is just because of the nature of how the artist created the file, and how I kind of just loaded the layer as a selection to fill it. So what I'll do is I'm just going to create a mask, and then I'm going to apply the mask so that we have a layer that we can just move around. So what I would do in this case is the layer on top of that black layer, I would just create a clipping mask. You can hold Option, which is Alt on Windows, and click in between two layers to make a clipping mask, and that keeps the contents contained inside of that box. So it gives you more flexibility, as you can see, keeping everything separate in different layers. You don't need to put everything in one single layer mask in this case. So that's very unusual. Usually you don't keep the content in a layer mask. Usually what people do is put all the content on a single layer, which is still not the best way to work, but it's much better than keeping the content on the layer mask. But anyway, so now we have the content on a separate layer. And if you wanted to take this a step further, again, I don't have the assets that the artists use, so I'm going to cheat here a little bit, but I'm just going to trace around this cloud like so.
And by the way, Stevie's saying Jesus has 37 Windows laptops all over the place, and he could find one.
It's right here.
I stole it.
She's using it.
Yes, and it's really true, Steve.
And actually, Steve, yeah, I mean, I don't have 37, but I have a lot of laptops.
7 minimum.
Well, not anymore. I gave one to my nephew, one to my mom, one of my friend's kids, one to Kladi.
Yes. So if you want a Windows machine, just make sure to write a nice email, say that you've done a nice, good deed, and Asus will be there. It's shipping it. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
I don't want to for Christmas.
Now I'm gonna be Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. Yeah.
So anyway, so what I did there, and I did that too fast. So I made that selection, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump the selection into a new layer. In other words, I'm going to copy the pixel or cut the pixels and put them into a new layer with one single shortcut. Command Shift J, that's Control Shift J on Windows, and now I have the cloud on its own separate layer. See that? So the point is that you want to keep everything in its own separate layer so that you can adjust it. If you want to bring the cloud up, left, right, anywhere you want to put the cloud, you can do so now. So the point is that you want to keep all your elements in separate layers, and that's the real power of Photoshop, that you can separate everything and control it independently, so you can always make changes. So again, putting the content in the mask, in my opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense. It takes away all the flexibility that you had. So try to keep everything on separate layers. All right, so then now that we've done that, let's move on to this layer that contains the text. Now, again, the artist did something that I found quite interesting here, which is they put the text into a smart object, and now I couldn't really figure out why. My assumption is that they added the text layer into a smart object so they could transform it non-destructively. I'm not sure why they would do that, but let me export or turn these into layers. If I select convert to layers, the smart object becomes a layer. So I know I don't have the font installed that they used, but I could replace it or merge it. I'm not going to do that. But the point is obviously they had the font installed when they created the file. So there's no need to convert it into a smart object in this case. The one reason why I'm assuming they would have converted it into a smart object is to keep the text layer effects scalable. So if I scale the layer, the effects won't scale with it. But you can go into layer style, and you can actually it's not scale effects. You can go into layer style, scale effects, and from here you can enter the same percentage that you use to scale a layer. So for example, if I were to scale this layer up to 150%, then I could come in here and do a scale layer style to that same percentage, and that would keep the same look to the layer. So I wouldn't use a smart object in that case. The reason being also just to keep everything in the same panel and editable. So there's no need for creating a smart object.
By the way, so sorry, I'm giggling here because I think that I broke your laptop. The mouse doesn't work.
What? You broke my laptop?
I don't know if I locked it or done something, but there is no cursor.
I don't know what you did.
Okay, I'll try that. Oops. I'm really trying to convert the Windows.
Clearly, Kladi doesn't know how to use Windows computers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, so the next thing that I see here is, this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's okay. The layer mask hides contents, as you can see there. I just think that the effect was just a little too harsh. They were trying to create the illusion that clouds were going over the text. And there's certainly nothing wrong with using a layer mask. That's totally fine. That's one of the ways in which you can achieve this effect. I'm just going to show you an alternate method that you may enjoy. So I'm going to double click to the side of the layer to bring up the layer style window, and this brings up the blend div sliders. And if I go into the underlying layer, in other words, the layer below the layer that I'm on, I can drag this white point slider to the left, and notice how it starts hiding the text. And if I hold Option or Alt on Windows, I can split this in half and create a smooth transition between visible and invisible pixels. And the reason that I chose white as opposed to black is if you're looking at this cloud, it looks like the brighter pixels of the cloud are closer to us rather than the dark ones. So then the brighter pixels, which are closer to us, will be the ones covering the text if this was a real photo. So the point is that I can use this technique to create the illusion that there's clouds covering the text. And if I wanted to, I could also bring in some of the dark pixels in as well, just to create the effect that I'm trying to show you here. Let me just drag those in a little bit, maybe like so, and just adjust them accordingly. But the point is that this is an alternate method that you can use, and you can also click and drag, and you see how the text goes into the clouds. So maybe this is something else that you can use, or you can use the layer mask. Totally up to you. I just wanted to show you that option. Next, we had the water, and this is really cool. I'm not sure how the original artist created this or where they downloaded it from, but usually these layers are not transparent like this one. So I'm not sure if they found a PNG that just happened to be transparent or they created it, but in this case I think it's great that it is a transparent layer. And if you have the opportunity to use a transparent layer like they did here, then that's awesome. Do so if you can. And one of the advantages of having it on its own separate layer is that you can use something like a hue and saturation adjustment layer, click on colorize, and you can colorize the that water or that splash into any color that you want. So that would be an advantage of doing that. The disadvantage of using something like this is that it looks like there's no highlights. So my assumption is that one of two things happened. They downloaded just like a clear PNG with transparency in it, or they made it from scratch by loading one of the channels as a selection. And the downside of doing that is that you lose the highlights. So when you colorize the image, notice that we get no highlights and you get this weird effect. This is just a really long-winded way of saying when you are working with elements like this that should have specular highlights like water, Be careful how you blend your layers, because if you lose the specular highlights, it doesn't look realistic, which is why I don't think the water looks great when it goes over the black here. So be careful with that. I think this, let me see if I can fake it actually. I'm just trying to think of how I could fake it. Let me just disable this white box. So one way that I think I could fake it is by, let me see, select, I'm going to use the magic wand tool and select contiguous and just select all these transparent pixels here like so. And then invert the selection, Command Shift I to invert it. And then the layer, I'll create a layer below that and I'll fill it with white. There we go. And it's going to look the same now, but if I bring back this box, now we get that effect that you see there. So now you have the specular highlights and it looks realistic. The downside is that we lose a lot of the transparency, all of the transparency. So you will have to fine tune it accordingly to bring some of that back and maybe change the blend mode. Although in this case, it really wouldn't matter because the background is black. So you would have to fine tune the details to make sure that you only keep the specular highlights. So this is actually more of a complicated thing. But again, I don't have the original file and I don't know if they created this layer or that's just how they downloaded it. So it's a little difficult to tell.
That's the beauty of working with other people.
Yeah.
Guessing.
And then here we go. We're going to zoom into their signature. So this is the artist who submitted the file, the unknown artist that submitted the file. And one tip that I have is there's nothing wrong with just, creating a layer and then with the Wacom tablet just doing your signature. Totally cool with that. But if you want to save some time, what I recommend that you do is that you take your signature and you load it into your libraries panel. And let me just open up the libraries panel here. And basically what you want to do is you just drag the signature into the libraries panel. So it's a library asset. And all you do is whenever you want to add it to one of your designs, you just drop it in there and there it is. You don't have to redo it every time. It's always there. And you can also come in here and if, for example, your signature changes, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me undo that. If your signature changes or your logo changes or whatever you use for your watermark changes, you can update it from the Creative Cloud, and I'll just do this weird squiggly line and I'll save it, and it also updates on your document as well. So that's the advantage of having it on the Creative Cloud, that you could always update it and control it from there. Again, that could be like you saw here, just your signature. It could be a logo, it could be anything really. So as long as it's a cloud Creative Cloud asset, you can always update it, and it updates on the Photoshop documents where you use that link cloud object. What I mean by that is if you look on the signature layer here, that layer has this little cloud icon, and with that little cloud icon, it indicates that we're using the asset that is in the cloud rather than like a flattened layer or anything like that. Another advantage is that you can go into assets.adobe.com and you can find those files there. So even if you don't have your computer, you could be at a friend's house or something like that, you can always go on the browser, assets.adobe.com, and find that content there. So I put all my assets that I use often on a Creative Cloud library just because I know that I always use them, and no matter where I'm at, I can have access to them even from a web browser. And also, if you're working on, say, Photoshop for the iPad or something like that, you can find them in the libraries panel in Photoshop for the iPad. Or it's not really the libraries panel. It's called the Place Photo tool is what they call it in Photoshop for the iPad. The downside though is if you do this in Photoshop for the iPad, at the moment Photoshop for the iPad flattens all the layers, so it wouldn't be a good workflow in that regard. But you still have access to it there if you needed it, but it will be a flattened layer, not a link cloud document.
And you know something about Photoshop on the iPad?
Yeah.
Lately you've been practicing a lot.
Yeah, I pretty much read every single document on Photoshop for the iPad on the Adobe HelpX website. I just came out with a course on Creative Live for Photoshop for the iPad. So if any of you are creative interested in it, you can check it out at creativelive.com. It's creativelive.com. You can just search for Photoshop for the iPad, and I'm the only person who's got a course on there. And yeah, it's like a beginner's course on Photoshop for the iPad if you want to check
And let
it
us
out.
know in the chat if you have used Photoshop or Illustrator on the iPad yet. If you have an iPad, let us know if that's...
Let me look for it now that I'm talking about it. Creative. I can spell creative. Creativelive.com. And if you go into the search and you just put in Photoshop iPad, there we go, Photoshop iPad for beginners, and you can check out my course on Photoshop for the iPad if you like. So there it is, Photoshop for the iPad. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I got for this file. Kladi, I don't know if you're ready for your file.
We're gonna swatch.
We're gonna have to swap computers.
Fantastic. So okay, let's. How we're gonna do this? Just 1 second. We're gonna have to swap computers again. But yeah, just 1 second. So
do you need another moment? It looks like you need another moment to set up. We're trying to sync some files here, so.
Yes.
I guess I can show you a couple tips and tricks now, since this is the last rework it of the year. We can just work on something else. So now I gotta give Kladi a couple minutes. So number one is, if you haven't already, add a banana to your banana tool. You can do so by going into the edit toolbar, holding shift and clicking on done, and that adds a banana into your toolbar. This is the ABC, the Adobe Banana Crew, as I think Sean was the person who called it that. So make sure that you do that. Also, I was talking a lot about cloud documents. Make sure that you take advantage of Photoshop Cloud Documents. If you click on the home button, and we'll see what Kladi has here under her cloud documents.
I got some letters for sure done on the iPad.
Some letters that she's done on the iPad. So basically, what a Photoshop Cloud document is a new. It's a new file format. It's basically a Photoshop document, but it has the capability to work on the Adobe server for Photoshop. So it works with Photoshop on the iPad and Fresco. So you can literally take any Photoshop document that you have, even a 5 GB Photoshop document, and open it on Photoshop for the iPad and work with it there. Now, not all the tools and capabilities of Photoshop Desktop are on the iPad, but you can open it and work with the file using the tools that are available to you, and any changes that you make on there will be visible on the cloud documents when you come and open it up here in the desktop or laptop in this case. And the same thing is true for Fresco. If you're an Adobe Fresco user, any Photoshop Cloud document will open up in that you work on Fresco and save in Fresco will open up on the iPad or on the laptop, desktop, whatever you have. So make sure that you're using the Photoshop Cloud documents, because they're really beneficial in that mobile desktop cross-app workflow. Cool. Wait, are you both in the same location? Yes, we're in the same location.
He's in San Francisco now. We're real. We're real.
No, we're really here. Yes, Misty, we are in the same location.
We're both in Manchester, UK for now.
Yeah. I'm not sure why RB said blend. So I'm not really sure.
Because he's probably already thinking about what I'm gonna be doing.
Oh, because you're doing blending.
I'm gonna be using blending today if I manage to open the file.
Well, if you're still having no worries, there's more stuff I can show in Photoshop if you're still having issues with that file. Actually, since this is your laptop, I just saw that you have I'm not gonna open that, but it's a photo of your passport. So
please do not open that.
Tell you what, I know what to do. I'm just gonna open up a new document.
Okay. And by the way, this is also working, so.
Okay, so let me know.
Hopefully it doesn't crash in the other one, but it looks like.
Oh, something I should mention. So if you go into if you press the create, and I need everybody to do this because it's actually literally will help me out. If you click on create new, this will open up obviously the new document window, and if you go into the photo tab, under photo, you'll see this template, interlocking geometric shapes. This is one of the templates that I have. You can see my name here inside of Photoshop, And just make sure that you open it, because then it counts like an open and it makes it seem like people are downloading my template. I don't get any money from it, but but it definitely helps my stats. So they might hire me
until you make it.
They might hire me to do more templates. So make sure you download.
Was that a big goal of yours, wasn't it? To have your name inside Photoshop.
That was my name. Now it's in there twice. So it's in there. It's inside of Photoshop here, and then it's also inside under the. What is that new panel called? It's not the Learn panel anymore. They have a new name. Discover panel. Discover. Thank you. Yeah, under the... Wait, are you in the latest version of Photoshop? I don't think you are.
I'm focusing on Illustrator at the moment. So let's jump in Illustrator, actually. Okay, I really hope that on the Mac...
Oh, no, wait, you are. Yeah. No, okay. Wait, no, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, wait, let me see. Yeah, this is... You are. So
should be keep my apps up to date.
Yeah, under hands-on tutorials, if you click on adjust, so let me show you how I got here. If you go into this icon, if you click on this icon, it opens up the Discover panel, and from there you have the hands-on tutorial. And if you go into the adjust lighting in a photo with levels, or you press on View All, you can see that tutorial I just mentioned, or the control photo brightness and contrast with curves tutorial. And these are tutorials that I have built inside of Photoshop, and you can just click on Start Tutorial.
Isn't that Valencia?
Yeah, that is Valencia, yeah. And
so that's the beauty. You go on a trip, and then you see the photo.
Yeah, and
in Photoshop.
And that's how you business expense vacations. But so... The point is that you can follow along with these hands-on tutorials from the app. You can just click on next and then just follow the instructions, and it'll tell you what to do. So
fantastic. By the way, RB was saying that you mentioned the blend if. That's why I said blend.
Oh, blend. Got it.
And Khaled just joining and saying hi to Dorina and Guido, which is my dad. Thank you so much.
So are you ready?
Yeah, hopefully we can swap this.
Yeah. We were having issues with the OBS and handling two laptops, so we decided to stick with the Mac.
And now I hope that everything that is created on a Windows can be recreated on a Mac. So we're really experiencing the flexibility of the machines here. But I'm going to say bye-bye to Photoshop, because I'm going to be really having to use this. Let's see if we can just quit it. And I'm going to save your work, Jesus. And then let's jump into Illustrator. As you can see here, I was having a little bit of a play already with this file. But before doing that, I want to make sure that I present the artist, because I see her there in the chat. Dorina is here. Now, Dorina, I'm just going to jump into the email. If you don't mind, because I see you got your mouse there.
Oh, that's mouse, yeah.
Yes. I'm going to jump real quick into our landing screen before I go through the mail, because I really want to show our Dorina, our artist profile on Behance, because we do have a profile. So let's just send her in here. Let's see. Dorina Boneva, I believe. So I'm so sorry if I don't pronounce it correctly, but her Behance is Anima Fan, and here it is. We should be able to see it right now. So Dorina, character designer, illustrator. We also have the website from Varna in Bulgaria, and we can see a lot of different style of work, a lot of Illustrator daily creative challenges. Dorina, I'm so happy when I saw your name, I saw you submitting the file. I was like, definitely we need to have a look. You're super dedicated to the DCC. I remember plenty of DCC in which we had fun together. So now it's your time to feature your work doing this rework kit, which is gonna be our last work kit of the year. We should have got some like Christmas holiday thing. We're not big holiday.
I'm wearing my new Photoshop shirt, by the way, because I know people say I always wear Adobe stuff during the streams. Yeah, this is my new Photoshop. It's got the brush panel, and it's got brush strokes on it.
And by the way, Sam just placed the link for Dorina Behance profile, and look at this. We have a lot of Photoshop creative challenges, Illustrator creative challenges, XD creative
Dorina,
challenges.
That's amazing.
And look at her work. Like, on top of doing all these challenges, she's a caricaturist, and she does a really, really amazing work.
And I'm sorry, you probably said it, but where is she from?
Bulgaria.
Didn't we have somebody else from Bulgaria yesterday?
I think yesterday someone else was from Bulgaria as well.
Awesome.
But look at her beautiful illustrations. So definitely go and check her out. She's got a ton of projects.
All right, everybody right now watching, just go to her profile and give her a follow. So let's see how many more followers. How many followers you have right now?
Let's see. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Followers
58 followers.
All right,
so there's that growing. I'm gonna refresh.
Yeah, so we're gonna refresh later, guys. So make sure you follow her.
Share the love to Dorina because she's working hard. Look at this. What's that? You doing the rocks? The Photoshop that created?
Probably. Oh yeah, that's my name. See?
Oh yeah.
So let me check it out. Let's go to it.
Your DCC. Yeah. Sorry, I was really attracted by this T-shirt as well. So. Beautiful work, Dorina. Really
This is what
exciting.
We want to see, by the way. If you follow the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges, XD Daily Creative Challenges, Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges, for you guys to create your projects on Behance and display your work. Like I said, I'm curious to see the one that she did with me. So
I'll jump there in a second. I always focus on the portfolio because I always find very interesting to see how people display their work. It's not only about creating the work, but also displaying your work so it becomes understandable for future customers, other users, or other creatives. And I love what you've done here, Dorina. So we saw before the beautiful illustration of the lion, and then that's how she basically shows how this illustration can be used. There could be a T-shirt, maybe you can do stickers or whatever really is, you imagine your file be used, but we can really see a lot of her illustration and logo work applied into a context, and that really gives an idea to where you can go with your work. And it's very helpful also for other people to visualize what you do with your work. So I think that was your first one to polish the portrait. So we definitely have the eye improvement and the color. I think she did a fantastic job with the color here. Look, going from these very saturated yellow, just brought it back in terms of lights.
Color grading.
Color grading. You're just reviewing.
Yeah, I don't.
You're getting like a full review.
No, well, I'm actually trying to remember when, because I've done so many.
The broken glass. There was the thing.
Yeah, I've done so many DCCs that I don't remember which ones I've done. Oh, cool. Custom.
We got the pupper warp. So we got the movements here. And that was
that's
rock.
a rock. Yeah, I remember doing that one.
And I remember that's
changing the seasons. Okay,
I think I actually reviewed this one here in the stream. But
and then that was the crayon drawing. Okay, I remember doing these.
That's so cool. This crayon drawing is so cool.
Well,
you
anyway,
show me that. I've never done the crayon drawing.
So that's the knockout technique. Yeah.
What about this? Have you done
that's the knockout technique as well.
With the animation?
Yeah, they're both the knockout technique.
Oh, yeah. I need to go ahead and have a look at this stream. That looks so cool, doesn't it? So basically she added this little, what do you call it, magnifying lens?
Yeah, glass, yeah.
And when the magnifying lens, we can see the skeleton. You did that on the DCC?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I want to go back and watch that DCC. So we need to. Do you remember the name of it? I'm going like too much in depth. Dorina, it's fantastic. Thank you so much for letting us see all this work. I love the way that you are working. That's actually an illustration. She did the drawing and then she vectorized it with the curvature pen tool. Fantastic. Very well done. I love to, as I said, beside featuring the work and giving you tips on how improve it or take a different direction with the work, I think it's fantastic to have this time to really promote your work, because you're working hard. I cannot even imagine how many hours you spend creating this project. There are many, and they're really cool. And I'm passionate about illustration, so anytime that I see some good illustration like that, I love to go and check them out. And again, try to use the Dorina examples and really have a look at your the way that you can actually display your work beyond just simply saving your file and throwing a JPEG there. It's nice to put it on a t-shirt like Dorina's done, or you can put it also on a cup, or you have with these keys, what are they called? Key knowledge? String?
Oh yeah, put it on your key strings.
What do you call it?
The necklace?
It's not a key necklace.
Or lanyard, the lanyard.
Oh, the key necklace. So here we have like one with Adobe's logo, but you can put your work in all sort of different marker materials. Stickers also are really cool to use. We both say something really, really silly. Anyway, here Dorina was working into creating the letter sport and using a texture that will resemble a tennis ball. So what I'm going to be doing here is actually opening another file, because my computer needs a little bit of extra juice, I think. So maybe if we just open another file. So all I did is press Command N to open a new file, and then I can go under my properties and I can edit my artboard from here. So maybe if you are also in Europe, we can work with an A4, which is pretty much like a letterhead. And we can click on landscape in order to really quickly change the size of the artboard to the artboard that we want. Key restraints, says you. Keyish. Yes, you know that we like creating new words. We did for sure today as well. So as I was saying, I wanted to give Dorina some advice in order to bring to life this tennis ball. So first thing that I was thinking is you've been using the blend. So that's why when RB said blend, I was like, we're going to use the blend as well, which is absolutely fine. The only, I'm going to give you an example on how to use the blend for those of you that never used it before. And by the way, let us know in chat if you use the blend tool before in Adobe Illustrator. And let me open the window here, because it looks like Photoshop was taking over. So what I was suggesting is to make sure that when you create something like that, as you can see, the very front of the letter, which is the beginning of the stroke, it just resembles the circle, which is the starting point where Dorina used for creating a little stroke with the texture of and the color of the tennis ball. What I would advise is, of course, I was using different color, and I'm gonna show you right away how did I create this ball, because it's super easy. I'm gonna press the letter L in order to access the ellipse tool. You also find it on the toolbar under the rectangle tool, and then I'm gonna click and drag in order to create an ellipse, and you can hold Shift to create a circle. Let's see if our Siri doesn't get in the way. So again, click and drag and then hold Shift to create a perfect circle. And from here, I'm going to head to the fill control under the toolbar. And I'm going to go ahead and select this sort of green yellow, that is the fluorescent yellow that we usually see on a tennis ball. Then from here, to give a perception of a 3D look, you can use the 3D tools, but also there is a very, very much simple way of doing it, which will save a lot of power for your machine, which is using the mesh tool. So with the mesh tool, we can create a gradient and effect that will mimic the 3D just by mimicking the lights effect without having to push in your machine. Not all Macs, if you have a Mac or a PC that doesn't have much power, usually 3D struggles with machines. So that's a good way of faking it if you don't want to get in the depth of the 3D. So all you have to do is to click on the mesh tool that is right here on the toolbar. You can also access the mesh tool by pressing the letter U on the keyboard when you are in Illustrator, and then click once to the center to create your first mesh. And then
I'm reading the comment. RV saying, Kladi, one good use of the blend tool is on creating lines with pen, not pen tool, and using gradient on the lines.
Yes, RB, I'm just gonna show that. I completely agree. Let's just show that in just a second. So, because I want to take you there and a step further. Hopefully we got 10 minutes to do so, but let's focus now on the mesh tool. So as I was saying, as you see, I'm just going to go back. I just clicked once in order to create the first part of the net, which is the mesh that will allow us to move around and create more points. Now here, I'm going to go ahead and click one more time in order to create this other arch. And as you can see, the mesh sort of embraces the shape that we're using, and we will be able to use each single one of these new anchor point that we're creating inside of our shape in order to assign a different tint, a different color. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and click. Oh, and I can see I just saw more email coming with more submission, which is super sweet. So all you have to do is to click once with the dark selection tool, which is our white arrow located here at the very top of your toolbar. And then from here, you just click once inside the anchor point, and all you have to do is to double click again into your fill control, and we're gonna give it a slightly darker shade of color. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Maybe for the bottom, I'm going to go even a little bit darker, even more darker. And as you can see, we're starting to giving a little bit of a roundness of the shape, just simply by adding color inside of your ellipse. So in reality, that's still a completely flat object. So it's flat, but because we are adding different points of lights and we're distributing the lights and giving a gradient with some shadows and a lighting point, we're really faking here our 3D object. And then what I did is simply get the pencil tool, so press the letter N on your toolbar, or usually, let me actually show you that something really cool. As you can see, my toolbar has many different tools, and usually when you open Illustrator for the first time, it looks like that. So you know, usually we don't even have the pencil tool, we have the brush tool. So that's the way it looks when you open Illustrator. So in order to access the pencil tool, you will have to click and hold on the paintbrush and then navigate to the pencil tool, which is hidden there, or simply press the letter N in Illustrator. Although if you want to reveal all the advanced tool like I had in my previous workspace, all you have to do is to click on the 3 little dots at the bottom of the toolbar right there. And once you click here, you see that the full all tools window will come up, and from this fly menu on the top, you'll be able to select advanced, and all the tools are there. So in this case, the pencil tool will be much easier to access as well. So if you do an illustration, Dorina, I'm sure you definitely will be taking advantage of the fact that you can use the advanced mode in order to see more of your tools. So what I did here with the pencil, and I'm sorry, but I'm using just the keypad here, and I don't know why. Let me go ahead and consolidate all my workspace here. So I'm just gonna go ahead to window, arrange, consolidate windows. It looked like my windows was escaping. With the stroke selected, I can go under appearance and make the stroke a little bit bigger. And again, I'm very sorry because I am working just here simply on my mouse pad, so this is gonna be extremely bad. We have a Wacom here and everything, but
it's right in front of you. See, like I have the pen right here. See that?
But I have to use my finger on the little mouse pad. Anyway, so this is the way that you can start to create a tennis ball. And the reason why I was trying to create this 3D effect is because one thing that I think is missing, and of course, Arena, you can use the color. You don't have to use the color that I've used. You can stick to your blue and green. But what I was going to suggest is to really use this illustration and this circle in order to create an ending point to your type, because you have created the circle to start the blend and the gradient with the blend, but it just looks like a flat circle then. So you're trying to give this 3D shape and really try to make these cone almost look like, but then it looks flat at the top. So I will definitely use a makeshift 3D object like we did here for our little tennis ball. So and I will replace all the edges, so that will give us a little bit of a depth to, in this case I think is the S, the O, and the R, so anywhere where we have the spine that is facing forward. But as I said, I was going to jump on another file to talk a little bit more about what RB was mentioning there. So the blend tool to create a gradient, and then to replace a spine. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and just again do a wonderful job with the pencil tool and I'm just gonna draw an S here. Hopefully we can make it look semi-decent. Fantastic. And then with the
that's not an S.
That's not an S?
No, it means hope.
It means hope.
You've never seen Superman.
Oh, sorry. I'm not very Superman knowledgeable.
Let us know in the chat if you've seen Superman and you know what I'm talking about.
By the way, if and also say it doesn't look like an S. If you want to fix your Superman S, which is not really your Superman S, but if you want to fix your curve that you create with your pencil tool, there are two different ways in which you can achieve a smoother look. One, by double clicking on the pencil tool and making sure that the fidelity is selected up to smooth, so all the way to the right. And as you can see, all you have to do is to drag on this little blue button to bring it up to the maximum of the smoothness. So it's just gonna make your line much smoother when you draw, especially when you're on a trackpad. Look at the difference actually. Let me just bring it down and let me show you what the very accurate drawing will look like. So as you can see, you have many more anchor points. It looks much more fragmented, and the possibility of working with a smoother fidelity will allow you to create smoother lines. Another way is to use the smooth tool, which is nested under the pencil tool. You can find it right here. So click and hold on the pencil tool and then go ahead and select the smooth tool. And with your stroke selected, you can simply click and drag over it. And look at this magic, Jesús. Isn't that fantastic? In just few clicks, you make a much smoother line out of your wiggly line or whatever that was the full of. So first of all, we have less anchor points, so we simplify our path. That means that the vector will be much cleaner, much neater. And remember, we always try to use as less as anchor point as we can to contain the file size and to keep the design as clean as possible in terms of corners and angles. And also we smoothen our path, really making it as round as possible. Another way is also to hold Control and click on the shape and select simplify. And as you can see, Illustrator automatically will simplify your path even more, because we have our little automatic simplify selected, or you can also do that manually and literally decide how many points you want to keep in your curve. But that's a little bit of a digression from
Steve
the
is
tennis.
saying there's some sort of massive shark villain in the Superman comics too, and I cannot remember the shark's name, but if I'm not mistaken, that shark also comes out in the WB's The Flash. I'm pretty sure he comes out in there. You guys let us know in the chat.
So yesterday they were on
yes,
TV shows.
it goes on land. Yes, Steve. Yeah, I think it might be the same character as in The Flash.
So what I've done here, I started by creating a circle, and then I went and hold Option on the Mac and Alt on Windows in order to create a duplicate, and then press Command D, which is Control D on a Windows, in order to create multiple copies. Then I'm going to click and drag to select them all and use the shortcut Shift X to swap the color from the stroke to the fill in just one click. So again, that's Shift X, and you can swap it from the fill to the stroke. You can also press the backspace if you wish to make it transparent, but I'm going to press Command Z just to undo. But those are really, really cool tricks that you can do using Photoshop like a piano. Oh, I just see the time. I need to move fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and select 3 shades of yellow here. And we'll go ahead into this darker one. I'm just going to maybe add the green as well. And once you create your little colors that will be part of a gradient, those can be any colors you like. So we saw, actually, I'm going to try to follow what Dorina did as well with the blue. I'm going to try to give a little bit of a blue at the end as well. All you have to do is to click and drag in your artboard in order to select all these circles. Then add under Object, Blend, and you can go under Blend option to make sure that we are creating a smooth color and the orientation is aligned to the page. And then I'm going to click on OK. And afterwards, I'm going to go back again, because at this moment, we're just making sure that the blend option were the one that we wanted. And then I'm going to go back and click on Make. And as you can see, in just one step, we pretty much created a gradient using the color that we add there. And we can select this path and then drag it by Alt and Option in order to create a copy. I always do that just if maybe we're going to create more letters. I always like to create an extra line there for safety, just to keep it there, just an extra an extra line to keep for future references, because you're going to see this one here is actually going to disappear in just a second. So I'm going to go back and reselect the smooth tool, because we smoothed our crooked S and we didn't do any work on this one. That is the one that we're going to use for our sport. And once you are happy, hopefully you're going to spend much more time than what I did here. Maybe you can also sketch it, Dorina, especially you, because you work so nice with your illustration. I will definitely advise, like you did for the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges, to sketch it on paper and then bring it into Photoshop, in Illustrator or Photoshop, and then trace it with a pencil. And then you can click and drag on both the gradient, which is the blended gradient, and the path. And with those together, go under Object, Blend, and use the Replace Spine in order to use the spine of the gradient and bring it into your letter S. Now, usually when you have something that is, I'm just going to use, for example, the letter D. I'm just going to do it real quick here. that has corners or maybe as other different lines, or even if you have a font. So if we had an S with more lines turning together, what I wanted to show you is that the beauty of using this technique is that will allow you to see very cool things happening here. So if we go back, again, object, blend, and then replace spine, you see that we start to have all this gorgeous color blending together here. And now the reason that didn't finish off is because probably I would have needed a longer line to start with. So that's something very, very important, to make sure that you create also a gradient that is long enough. Dorina, I saw that you were having some issues here with having all these little line appearing. The reason of that, this little fractal line is because the initial gradient wasn't long enough. So make sure that you create the first and the second spot with enough distance to create the entire path there. Otherwise, you will have a path that doesn't show, or maybe that gives you all these little break points. So in this case, what I wanted to show you though is to take a little step farther, because I know we got like about 1 minute, is to use the appearance panel, because when I wanted to, you were talking about the tennis ball, and I wanted to give that little furry texture, because that's one of the beauty. I think the tennis ball is probably one of the only furry
yeah, probably
sports ball. So
sports ball.
I don't know.
Does anyone play sports ball out there? Let us know in the chat.
Sorry guys, it's almost midnight here, so I'm definitely making up a lot of words, but not definitely want to show you these effects. So make sure that you go ahead under Windows, select your appearance panel, and then with your little design selected, go ahead and click on add new effect, and then from here we are going to go ahead and select distort and transform, and then roughen. And look what happens here. We're starting to create all these little furry details, and I'm going to try to zoom. Probably I should have zoomed in before so we can see it much better. So again, appearance panel, window, appearance panel, and then from here we click on effect, add new effect, distort and transform, roughen. And you can play with the size here.
Ooh, that's
and then
super
also
cool.
with the detail. So you can really, really start to like play with this little, and look how beautiful it looks here as well with when you create the gradient. So I think
look furry.
It does look furry, isn't it? I think it's super, super cool.
It's perfect for sports ball.
You're so silly. So that was my advice. Of course, Dorina, use your, take your time and make sure that you really refine it. But I really wanted to give you an idea of how you can create a little bit more of a texture rather than just layering a photo. And again, of course, you can go back and do...
And actually, I'm sorry for interrupting, but one thing that if you zoom back in, the one thing that you need to note is you get that cool furry effect when you have the variance in color. So obviously if you use the same color all throughout, you wouldn't get it as nice. So you might want to alternate between different shades.
We can see it up here that is not really noticeable.
Right. So you would maybe, if for example, if you wanted the same color, like a yellow all throughout, you can use different shades of yellow to try to make it pop a little more in certain areas.
So exactly like it's happening.
Like
right
it's happening
here.
like right there. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was my tip of
Actually,
the day.
I know we have less than a minute, but I want to go back to Dorina's Behance and see if we got it up. What was the number that she was at? 50 something?
Oh, we need to refresh.
58. Come on, guys. 61. All right. We got a few more. There's still a minute left. Make sure that you follow Dorina.
So as you guys know, he's obsessed with likes,
numbers. Yeah, I'm obsessed with likes, numbers, anything to, I'm a YouTuber, so I need to,
click on the like button.
Click on the like button, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But talking about clicking on the like button.
It's time to say goodbye.
I know, but let me just say it really quick. This is the last Rework It of the year, so thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome having you. Hopefully next year we can come back and do more Rework It shows.
I hope you had as much fun as we did, because we had a blast. As you know, we have a nice giggle where we use Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and it's been fun. Thank you so much, Aziz, for sharing this adventure with me.
And you're welcome. And if you want to stay in touch with Kladi and me, just go into behance.net/JR from PTC, and you can find all my links to Instagram and YouTube and all that. And Kladi, I am Kladi.
I think the best way for me is either Behance or I am Kladi on Instagram. You can find a lot of resources. Also, my website, plenty of wonderful stuff. But it's time to go. We're pretty much getting cut off now.
All right. Well, thanks so much,
Sam. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.